morning all, and welcome to another video. Today is something a little bit different. It's not a normal shave of the day, it's not a normal review. It's a pass around, and this is a pass around for a razor that has drawn, shall we say, some mixed reviews. There's plenty of people who find it perfectly okay, and there's people who say it's weird, it's not normal, there's something just not right, and it's just overcomplicated. And initial impressions for me from reading what I've written, seeing how it works and watching other people use it in various videos, I'm not sure I get the point. The razor in question hails from Italy. It's from a company called Focus, and it's the R48. Now, this has been kindly passed around via the Against the Grain forum, and I'm the last person on the list to try it out before it goes to its new owner. So, interesting times. Now, some people say that the loading process of the blade is fussy and dangerous. Some people say that the swivel head doesn't make sense. So I'm going to test that out today. So like I say, it comes nicely packaged, you know, proudly stated that it's 100% made in Italy, and that's a nice thing to shout about. And what else do we see? What do we find out? Nothing particular on the back, doesn't really tell you much. So it's a nice box, give you that. So then we take the razor out of the box. It slides out in its own little tray. Sit that there. You can see it just sits in there. We'll take that out. And here's the sliding blade holding mechanism. Otherwise, or without a blade in it, it's very loose. So it could easily get lost, but depends how you look after things. So we can see, what can we see? Seems well put together. Let's see, there's the back of the cap, two little screws to hold that in, very finely ground on that leading edge, and engraved in the top with the company name Focus. And here we have where the blade sits, kind of. You can see there's marks where the blade kind of just cuts into the head a little. And that's an interesting point to make here. It's a half DE blade razor. On the whole, let's say the machine work looks neat and tidy. You see the pivot point there. I'll cover that in a minute. Nicely engineered. Seems comfortable enough to hold in the hand up front, and again they make a point of saying it's 100% made in Italy. So there we go. So yeah, initial impressions of the quality, it seems alright. So the pivot's up and it releases. At this point in time, I'm struggling to see the point of that pivot, but we'll see. So, razor with a head, cap. So we have a blade to load. Now I've got a half Astra Superior stainless blade to go in here, which I've already got a remaining half safely snapped in this pack from one of my shavettes. I use Astras in there. I find them not too aggressive, but sharp enough to get the job done for one maybe two shaves. So here we have half blade. Now a couple of people have suggested that when you snap a DE blade, now I don't know if I'm going to be able to pick it up here very well, if at all, but when you snap it, kind of these points here, they kind of bend one way, so the direction you snap it, they tend to follow a bit of a curve. And it's pointed out that if you put the curve towards the head, grips it a little better and maybe making for an easier, safer load. So, the logical thing to do would be to load the blade onto the top cap. So, bearing that in mind, I'm going to sit that on there like so, with the curve kind of facing out. That's going to sort of tuck into the razor head. Oh, losing my balance there. All well so far. So then we just have to locate the pins in the head. And this is the point where people say sometimes the blade can move around. So looking from the front, yeah, I can see, I can feel already this is not the most intuitive thing to load. It's really not. There's a lot of pressure required to get that in, and it doesn't want to go in. And even when it is, the blade is moving around too much for my liking. I'm not liking that so far. Let's try from another way. Now, I do have arthritis, so it can be a bit iffy with my hands at times. Let's try here from this angle. Put a bit more pressure on the cap to try and force that blade over. Now I'm conscious I don't want to put too much pressure because it's not my razor, so I don't want to push and bend things, maybe change tolerances, bust the head. I'm struggling, chaps, genuinely struggling here to get that razor in. It's not working for me. Obviously without a blade you've got more, what's the word I'm looking for, freedom. So I've turned the blade around so that now the curve is towards the top cap. See if that's creating friction on the head, which might explain some of the marks. So same deal, locator pins. Ah, okay, there we go. User error. Straight in that time, so it's located in, but the blade gap is not even. So we might need 1 or 2 stabs at getting this loaded evenly. So I just need something. I'll try use a fingernail. Still not. That's flat out refusing to go in straight. I can see a gap on this side, but nothing this side. It's not wanting to go in straight. And that for me is a problem because it's not going to be an even shave. There we go. So I can understand why people are having issues loading a blade. If you're not fussy about blade gap or blade exposure evenness, shall we say, I can understand why you might not have a problem, but for me, I like it even. That's even worse. It's a lot. Okay. This really does make you feel like an amateur. And you can understand why, if this was someone's first razor, that they might get somewhat annoyed, give up. There's no way to get this blade even safely. And if I can't get this even, I'll be honest, gents, I'm not even going to entertain a shave with it. Now I'm willing to be corrected on my loading method, but there's only so many ways you can skin a cat. I mean, the blade is sitting even on the cap, but it just doesn't want to. Well, that's a bit better. Still not even. I've got, can we see it? Got a little bit of gap both sides. That's better. I think that's as best as I'm going to get. Let's have one more stab at it. No, that's worse. I've got lots of gaps this side, less this side now. I really wouldn't want to have to go through this faff every day just to have a shave when I can drop a blade into another razor literally with the same kind of attention that I have to give breathing, and that's how it should be. There should be no effort required to load a blade, certainly not like this. It's not, it's counterproductive. I mean, I pick DE shaving for its benefits, not for its hassle. That's it's getting worse. It's getting worse and worse. Even worse again. I'd like to hear from R48 users who have had success getting the blade load even. I mean, look, that's the best I've had it so far, and it's still not even. Nowhere near. It's not sitting central in the cap. It's not evenly exposed. And the point here is to have a shave. See, now it's gone the other way. I've got no gap this side, gap this side. Like I said, there's only so many ways to skin a cat, and I can't see that there is an easy way to bloody load this thing. I know I don't get frustrated at something very easily, but I'm getting very frustrated at this. Gone the other way again, no gap this side, nothing this side. My sink of water is going to be cold by now. No, I can't get it even. Cannot get it even in the slightest. Something's beeping, chaps. I'll be back in a moment. And welcome back. Alarms, eh? Alarm clocks. They sound scary when you're not expecting them. Anyway, so this is where we're at with the Focus R48. There's a gap on one side, not on the other. This is one frustrating, really frustrating razor. I am struggling far more than I ought to be to get exposure even on the blade. There is nothing straightforward about loading the blade in this razor. No matter how many ways you try to skin this proverbial cat, it don't want to load evenly. And we're talking not even close to being even. One side it sits down, then it decides to sit up. I mean, you can't obviously push down on a blade on the exposed edge to bring it straight. I mean, you've got the nibs on the cap that you can manipulate the blade slightly. That's the best I've got so far. I mean, you can see, if I move out of the way, you can see the white coming through. There's a lot more this side than it is this side. Well, I say a lot. It's noticeable. It's the best I've got, so that's what I'm going to run with. So, to give it a fair crack at the whip, and so I'm not distracted by scent, I'm going to use an unscented soap today that I know performs well, very well. A brush that I know well, a prep routine that I know works well, so I've hot toweled. It's probably been a bit too long now, the amount of time it's taken me to load the bloody blade. And it's not very often you hear me get frustrated, but I am frustrated by this. It should not be that hard to load a blade into a head. It should be as simple as this. Right. Top cap on a future. A blade. A razor. Pop the blade on. Top cap on. Done. That is as hard as it needs to be. Oh, I'm terribly sorry, it could get harder. I might have to adjust the dial if it's an adjustable razor. Yeah, it's not very often I get frustrated, but on that I am. So I'm going to quickly wet the face. In fact, no, I'm going to get a fresh sink of water because, as I suspected, it's cold. I don't want cold water getting on my boat race. So, I did have blooming, but I had to pour the bloom water out part way through to try and load the blade before the soap disintegrates. My soap of the day, which is Soap Commander Integrity, unscented vegan soap. Like I say, it gives good glide, good cushion and really nice post shave. Chosen for its distinct properties of not interfering scent-wise. Be interested to know from other R48 users, how long did it take you to get the blade loaded the first few times, and did you find a knack for loading it? I think I've seen Kevy, you've used the R48. Anyone else on the Against the Grain Passaround? I would appreciate your thoughts on how you got a good blade load, and indeed anyone out there in YouTube world who's used this razor. Were you frustrated as me? Did you have more patience? I mean, I like to think I've got a lot of patience in many ways, but this razor really tested it today. So, are there other blade types that might work better? I know you can buy kind of pre-snapped blades. I don't know if they would be any better because they might have kind of that little curved bit taken out, which might help the load process. Who knows? Anyway, let's wet the face. Right, let's load some lather. And like I say, I get everyone's frustration who's listed blade loading as a problem for them. I'm using my Razor Rock Monster. Again, it's a brush I know very well, and I know it's consistent, and I know how to get the best lather from a soap with it. It doesn't take a lot, because it doesn't eat lather. Holds a lot of lather, but it doesn't eat it. It doesn't soak it up like a lot of natural hairbrushes tend to do. Not waste this. It's good stuff. The guys and girls at Soap Commander make a good soap. They really do. So we're going to talk about a very British thing now. How's the weather, chaps, where you are? Here in my part of the West Midlands of England, it's snowy. It's December the 16th, we actually have winter. We don't often get snow in December. I've seen a few places mention that the odds on a white Christmas have been slashed this year. Only 9 more sleeps to go before the big fat man comes. Touch more water, I think. There we go, stacks of lather in there ready for the next, hopefully the next few passes. Nothing worse than tasting lather, or inhaling it through the nostrils. So, we have the drama of blade loading out of the way. We have the nice relaxing painting of the lather. Let's see if the razor frustrates me anymore. Now, like I said, I don't quite get the pivot yet. Let's see. So, we're going to see, does it shave efficiently? Is it smooth? I know the Astras are smooth. It's nice. I think it's aluminium. The way it's sort of conducted the heat evenly through the handle suggests to me it's aluminium. I'll find out. It's light enough to be aluminium. It's not heavy enough to be stainless steel. But yeah, so let's see how it feels. Okay, I felt the pivot engage. I'm not sure why. Not applying much in the way of pressure. The angle feels a bit weird. It almost seems to engage the pivot, let's say, when it could be snagging. Okay, so interesting. It feels a little shadette-like. feels maybe more aggressive than I expected it to. But so now that it feels really alien. To get a good angle there, I need to be quite steep, just in the nature of the shape of my face under here, and that's too shallow. It doesn't feel right at all. Yeah, that's a drawback for me. And obviously that's down to the geometry of my face. Everyone's face is built differently, but under here, obviously, you've got quite a steep angle, and the same on the other side to get in there. Now it doesn't feel as like it's cut away as much whiskers as other razors on the first pass. I mean, it's the closest kind of first pass feel I can compare it to is the extremely mild Gillette Tech. Now the Tech, like I say, it's a very mild razor and leaves me, even with 3 passes, wanting more. Hear this pivot there? Okay, so the pivot engages. Oh, do you know what? Feel where it's engaging. It really feels. It engages where it might otherwise tug. Okay. Interesting. It definitely feels more aggressive on the face. Oh, I don't like how that feels. Going against the grain where I've got tough beard growth on my goatee region. Oh look, I've got lupus coming on. Yeah, that's, I'd say, in terms of how aggressive it feels quite aggressive. As is evident by the 1 or 2 weepers under here. Down here is my trouble spot, so it's a new razor, first time using. I'm not entirely unsurprised, but I've already found what could be the real big chink in its armour. So for anyone like myself who's got really wiry growth, it's the sort of growth where you could hang the suspension bridge from just one hair. It engages the pivot almost immediately, and it could be that it's new and it feels different. When we get to the chin area, we'll soon see. So we're going against the grain. My really sensitive side of the neck. I feel a bloodletting coming on. So you can hear the ping of the pivot. Oh yeah. It's not really cutting the mustard for me so far. Here goes nothing. I mean, I don't get a lot of blood loss. This, to me, this is 10 times the blood loss I normally get at minimum. There it goes. So, this area, goatee, it's pulling immediately into the pivot and I don't feel confident with it. No, not doing that. No, flat out not completing an against the grain part of this razor on that area. It's engaging even on the sort of the weaker hairs that I have. As soon as it touches it, I mean, for science, this is for science. See that? It's skipping around. Not doing that. For the interest of let's try here. Yes, it's a bit less wiry there. So, here we are. I don't like getting blood in the shave. Don't like it at all. I can achieve bloodless shaves without issue. And yes, that was my first go with that razor. And if you were a one-pass man and could put up with the frustration of loading that blade, you might be alright. If you didn't have concave sections of your face that you needed to shave cleanly. Now, I like to shave cleanly every day. With that razor I couldn't do it. I doubt even with learning period of time I can't get over a couple of major flaws. namely the inability, we'll start with the end, the inability to perform an against the grain pass here. Steel box double. It lets a lot of blood, partly due to the skipping around where it engages the pivot. I don't see the point in the pivot. I don't have it in any other DE razors. I didn't really like it back in the day on like the Mach 3 or other razors of that nature. I still don't. Even with the carts like the Wilkinson swords, I mean the pivot makes a bit more sense on those, but it's better designed than this Focus razor. That's going to be a day off of shaving tomorrow for me, which is disappointing because I wanted to do another final review. But in the interest of my skin, I can't do it to it. No. So I'll be breaking out the Allen block in a bit. I've actually not pulled it out of the bedroom drawers for a long time because I've not needed it. But today I do. I really do. The razor has destroyed my face. Even on my first ever shavette shave, I never had this much blood. I respected this razor because it's new and I didn't know it. I used no pressure. Had I really used pressure with that pivot, I could have ended up like a doner kebab, particularly with the uneven blade gap. Or exposure, should I say. Don't like this razor, and I've yet to find a single piece of shaving equipment until today that I didn't like. And I like innovation where it's necessary, and I don't think my initial thoughts have changed much, and I'm prepared to admit when I'm wrong. And for me, and this is the key point here, for me, this razor is wrong. There may be people out there that it works for them. There may be people out there like me who really don't get on with it, and that's fine because everyone likes different things. Everyone's skin, everyone's growth is different, and I realise I look silly. I look like I'm dabbing my face with a blue sausage. That's really just to try and calm the skin down. Seen it here first, blue sausage dabbing off the face. Yeah, this is intensely more pleasurable, I might add, than the shave I've just had. I know the soap is good. You've seen my reviews of that. I know the brush is good. I know my skin, I know my growth, I know the Astra blades. The only variable really is the razor. Now I know that blades perform differently in every razor. That cannot be denied. I've got razors that some blades work in, and in other razors they just don't. But the Astra is kind of universal. It works in everything really well. So it's not the blade, I don't think. The other half, that blade was absolutely fine, and the shave I had the other day was zero blood loss. So the only conclusion I can draw is that it's the razor and my what's the word I'm looking for? My experience, the first time experience. Now it could be like driving, you could kangaroo bunny hop down the road because you haven't got clutch control. It might be a bit like Swiss Tony, the first time you make love to a beautiful woman might not quite go as planned because you haven't got your technique down. And it could be, I mean, to put an analogy to it, shaving with this razor is like a bull in a china shop. It's clearly a well-made piece. It's very well made. I can't fault that. Much like a china shop, and a bull is a finely engineered piece of Mother Nature's greatness, powerful, strong. But it has its downsides, it has no finesse. The bowl in its nature is quite primitive. This isn't primitive, this is modern. But this pivot, this loading mechanism, are the chinks in the armour. There's nothing other than the style and the manufacture that I like. Did not like the shave. My skin feels really, I can feel and you can see the redness, the burn. It stings. It's not a pleasant shave. Now, even with, like I said, a shavette, which is as aggressive a shave I think as you can get, because it's a super sharp DE blade in an uncontrolled, i.e. unguarded blade holder. This is clearly guarded, but it feels aggressive. It feels more aggressive. I've got more burn than I would with this, or I would with this. These I can have a comfortable close shave with, and there is no guard on that. There's a guard here and a protective top cap with geometry that's meant to keep your face safe. But the biggest problem I have with this razor is the pivot. It engages in an entirely unnatural way. With a cart, you've got the correct pressure and you're following the contours of your face. With this, it's kind of like a safety, and this is going to sound really ironic and backwards. It's like a safety net in that it gets, and the bump pivot engaged, changes the geometry of the head, it skips, it judders, and then it's just not pleasant. I mean, here I couldn't do it. I still got stubble. It did not feel safe, and I shouldn't feel that way with a safety razor. Didn't feel that way with a shavette, but I do with this. I don't want to go against the grain, and more power to those that can. Like I said, everyone's beard growth is different. If your hair is fine, you might get away with it because it might not be tough enough to engage that pivot. But to me, it's an entirely unnecessary thing to have on a safety razor of traditional types. There's nothing wrong with this kind of non-pivoting head. This is a Razor Rock head on a Mueller handle. No blade in there at the moment. There's nothing wrong with the Mercure Future. No pivots. Works well. There's nothing wrong with the blade set up in a 1972 Gillette Tech. It's simple. It's two pieces of metal with a handle that clamp a blade in place, no fuss. Key point, no fuss, no pissing around with pivots that might engage. I mean, there's no blade in here, chaps. So there's nothing there that can engage at an inopportune moment and completely change the dynamics of the shave. And they point out dynamic on the razor. It is dynamic, but not in a good way. Not for me. And that I think is my key point here, chaps. Give it a try, by all means. I'm glad I tried it on a pass around and didn't have money invested. Well, I've got the postage invested and that's it. And I'm glad to have had the experience. But I'm not glad to have shaved with it, if that makes sense. I've tried it. It's a notch on my razor list. It's a statistic. I don't need any more than that one shave to know that I don't like this razor. Like I say, I like the style, I like how well it's made, but I don't like this head here. Don't like it, don't like the pivot. It's alien, doesn't belong. I'm sure that for the person who designed it, it worked for them, clearly, because hey, they wouldn't have invested time and money in an item that didn't work for them. But it doesn't work for me. And that, chaps, is my final conclusion. After one shave, it does not work for me. So thank you for watching this not so great shave. It's a shame, because I had high hopes. I hoped to be proven wrong. I hoped that my initial thoughts would be unfounded and that it would glide over my face like Torval and Dean did over the ice. But no. So gents of ATG, for arranging the pass around, Ross, I'll be in touch to get your address. I'm going to post this on to you, because you are the final destination. The razor terminates at that stop. This has been the Focus R48. I have been Nick, and I will see you again soon. Bye.